Yeah, hold on. Okay, there we go. Woo! All right, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parsons.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weighinradio.com.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater. Interior crocodile alligator.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Sorry, I was late coming in. I'm just reading my Facebook feed here.
Alligator.
Really?
I drive a Chevrolet movie
I've got to say, Fred, election season's a very, very tough time to be on Facebook. And I'm one of those people. One thing you see all over social media on during election season is someone will proclaim an opinion, and then if they say, and if you don't agree, just click unfollow or unfriend me right now, which normally I disagree with, because number one, I feel that it shows that you're too much of a wuss to entertain opinions that are different than your own. And number two, I really do think that you're doing yourself a disservice because, let's face it, one thing we love doing is arguing and debating. And the point of an argument or a debate usually is to be right. So if you tune out other people's opinions, your own opinions will never be challenged. And you don't really learn anything, and you're stuck in this cycle of ignorance.
I only agree to learn things from documentaries that I just watched on Netflix.
That's true.
I'm not gonna take information from someone I know and respect and understand their values and where they're from. You get out of my face with that, OMP.
Well, and here's the thing. When you have an opinion on something, it feels good. It's comforting, right? Because the world makes sense. But if that opinion's challenged, then you're uncomfortable and the world no longer makes sense. So you lash out. With that being said, I have implemented for a select group of people out there the temporary unfollow button. For people who, they're good people, we get along well for the most part, but their opinions are either so wrong or they're so unwilling to have a debate with you that there's no value going back and forth with them. So it's probably best to temporarily unfollow them during the election. I give people a pass because most people, they only follow politics around election season. So they don't see the dirty tricks that are used throughout the rest of the other 3 years that it's not going on. So people get scared, they get riled up, and they look to whatever candidate they think is going to be their quote-unquote savior. And then they get very, very entrenched in their opinions. And then after the election, they go back to being nice people.
I feel like we go to social media for complete different reasons, Mike. I feel like I go to my social media because I want to be outraged. The people, there's a core group of people that are in my life, and they're my friends and they're my family. And I interact with them already. I don't have to see them on social media. There's another group of people that I'm going to use this word, and I'm going to be very careful as I use it. They're very poor. And I don't mean of money. I mean of character and decisions and lifestyle. And
you're at home amongst your people there, Fred.
I don't know how, because we've come relatively from the same upbringing, how these people have gone on such a different and what I would call severely beaten path compared to mine. But these are the people I feature. I tune into these people. I tune into people who are so far right that it makes you sick on the left side of your stomach, and people are so far left that it makes you sick on the right side of your stomach. I tune into these people who, and there's kind of a understanding between them. Say the local police blotter is on your local newspaper's website. They're always the guys sharing that police blotter on Facebook. Like, and they're
look, guys, I'm in the news.
Right. Like I remember, like, I've been in here's an article on Fred in the paper. He's a cool guy. And then they'll say things like, congratulations on being in the paper, not the police blotter. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a compliment. But that's why I go there. I want to see this. I want to be able to.
Right. You want a front row seat to the train wreck that are these people's lives.
Yeah. To me, it's like a filter. I can use this to Oh, I know where you're at mentally and socioeconomically because of the things you say in public.
You know what that
But-
is, Fred? That's the same principle behind reality TV. Pretty much your social media feed is reality TV version 2.0.
Yeah, except I know all the actors really well.
And you know they're not fake.
I know, well, and I say really well, but I know them from my junior high. And by the way, I'm doing a lot better than most of my junior high enemies.
You know what? And that's the great thing about, well, that's the great thing and the terrible thing about social media. Because have you ever come across, they come across people you may know, and you see someone who is just a total jerk to you in high school or a total jerk to you in elementary school. And when you see that they're doing terrible, it's fantastic. But then some of them are doing really well for themselves. And it's like, oh, damn it. Everything that I thought I knew about karma is wrong.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying, but I'm actually the other side of the coin. I'm the guy that people see. So it's not that I see people and I'm like, oh, I hate that guy's like cool. Yeah. But people see me and they're like, oh, there's no way I'm adding that jerk off. I can't believe he's doing that well with his pretty wife and cool job and rewarding life.
Right, Fred. You're that guy. You're that jerk who people hate to see doing well.
I hate that I have that moniker. Let me start over. I don't think people feature me in their social media subscriptions. I absolutely think people block me and ignore me and put me to the wayside. So I feel like I'm both sides of this coin. I feel like I'm obsessed and also like, what's it called when you repress someone? I'm obsessed and repressed.
Yeah. Well, look at Fred Slow with his 2 dogs and his 35 minor league baseball hats. That guy doesn't deserve this. Fred, real quick. I don't think you shared this story back when we were podcast only. I don't know if you may have shared this on the Heavy Hitters with Matt Berger weeknights right here on KFNS. But I don't know if you've shared this on the weigh-in since we've gone terrestrial. You almost were called out on a national stage for being a jerk in high school, or was it middle school?
Yeah, it was high school. Yeah, I was invited to the Ricky Lake program. It's not a story I go into often. I don't use a lot of details. There's more to the story than I've ever let out.
Would you have rather have me not brought this up?
No, it's fine. I like to squirm. The thing about the Ricky Lake show calls me, and the Ricky Lake show says
this was the 90s Ricky Lake show, back when it was good, not when she tried to reboot it 5 years ago and it was all about mom stuff.
No, this is not recent Ricky Lake. This would have been the 2000. This would have been 2000. So right at the height of Lakeism. So Ricky Lake called me, and it was her producer. It wasn't Ricky. It was her producer. I don't know, Rachel. So Rachel
Lake,
and she says, "Hey, we're doing a program on overweight teens, and we'd like to have you on the show." And I said, I'm not that heavy.
Right. They thought you thought you were going to be laughed at for being fat on Ricky Lake.
So they named some people that I knew, which I thought was weird because this Ricky Lake's based out of Chicago. They named some people that I knew, and they said, "Hey, do you ever pick on this person? Are you rude to this person? Would this person's identified you as a trigger in all their emotional distress?" And I said, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll come. Yeah, I'll come to Ricky Lake."
I get to make fun of this guy on national TV. I mean, this is, well, number one, isn't it a bit unethical? Granted, you were picking on whoever wanted you to come on the Ricky Lake show, but isn't it a bit unethical for an adult to interrogate a child like this over the phone without a parent nor legal counsel present?
Well, and that was the thing. I went to my mom with it. I said, "Mom, Ricky Lake's on the phone. They're going to give me $1,500 to go to Chicago, and I'll have $1,500, which at the time, Mike, is like 5 Xboxes."
Yeah, right. I mean, you're rich.
So, and then my mom, without missing a beat, and my mom, perennial chain smoker, still till today. She takes the drag, she holds it, and she says, "They're going to make you the boo kid." She didn't even need to hear the story. She already knew that they were going to boo me on stage, and she would not let me go, and she saved my life. Thank you, Mom. Good
Wow.
looking out, Mom. I would have done it. I love attention.
She must have been very familiar with the Ricky Lake show because, I mean, she had. Did you watch a lot of Ricky? I watched a lot of Ricky Lake in the 90s.
No, they were all the same, weren't they? Like there was a bunch of those for a while.
Right. You know what? I also liked this was across the genre, be it your Ricky Lakes, your Sally Jesse Raphaels, or your Jenny Jones, is the one where the out of control teens would go to boot camp and they'd spend all hour talking about how terrible these kids were, and then a large drill sergeant would come out and just start screaming at them.
Yeah, but he only screamed at him up until the point where he said, "But I'm willing to be your father," and then they all broke down. Right.
You break them down to build them up.
Gosh, I would love. Oh my gosh, it just hit me. So I'm thinking like physically based challenges, like i.e. Double Dare or Survivor or something of that nature, where there are competitions that are feats of strength, or agility, or mind, or whatever. I want to get these people on my social media feed that I deem the unworthy, and I want to put them in a skills competition with an incentive at the end, and the incentive is going to be based off things that they put value in. So I'm talking like a carton of cool cigarettes,
Marlboro Reds.
Yeah. Oh my God! Don't talk about Marlboro Reds, bro.
Does it remind you of your mother?
No. What you know what they would do? They would take all the cartons and they would empty out a few and put them into what their Newports or whatever, and then every so often they'd get a taste of gold, but they wouldn't smoke them all at once. But that would be something to me. And then they could scream about how America going to be great again. I think it works.
Winner of this challenge will get 2 40s of Colt 45s in these paper bags.
You listen to the Weigh-In, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, K Radio Sports, Weigh-In Radio, Pendulum Podcast. We'll be right back.
Cool. So I have 2 quick thoughts on that when we come back, and then
that's fine. That was 13 on my thing. So, cool. But we started a second late, didn't we?
That's okay. I had 12, but that's fine.
Oh, my bad.
That's fine. Like I said, it's better to be a minute short than a minute long, or a segment long, like we were last week.
Right.
By the way, are our shows supposed to be 57:50 or 55:50? Or 30?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. All right. I've been doing anywhere. I've been doing some weeks 55:30, some 57:30. Okay, here we go. I'll bring us back in. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the Weigh-In.
These guys are like bad stand-up comics that you can't heckle.
WeighInRadio.com.
All right, so 2 final thoughts. That's very apropos because we're talking Ricky Lake and Jerry Springer. 2 final thoughts from that last segment. Number 1, Fred, I applaud your mother for protecting you from being the boo kid on Ricky Lake. But I'm also very mad at her because I do not live in a world where I could Google Fred Slow YouTube and watch a 13-year-old Fred Slow being booed on national TV.
The person they took on invited several people. I was not unique. There was a carom of people who put this individual in the circumstance where they felt they were bullied. With that said, no one went on the show. And because no one went on the show, this person's segment got cut. So
wow.
It didn't even go to air. Wait,
that's a super bully move. This kid was going to get on. This kid was going to have his or her moment in the sun on national TV, and all of his or her bullies from school united to take that away. How's that person doing, by the way? Like in life?
I don't know. Hold on.
Yeah, I hope they're very successful. I hope that they are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and that each and every one of you will one day go into their office for a job interview.
Well, I know this person's not that because I have a day job where I interact with the public pretty regularly.
Yeah, and
this person has come into that day job, and I've seen them leave whenever they saw me.
Oh,
so
did you say hi? There was one kid I picked on in elementary school, and like the last day of high school, I apologized to him, and he goes, "What? Oh, I don't remember that." So my conscience is clear. Have you have you made similar peace with this kid that you bullied?
No, not this kid. This kid disappeared off the face. Gosh, man, just without going into great detail, I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
But if I did know, I would tell you, but I don't.
And last time you were talking about the train wrecks that you love following on social media. I thought of the group of people that fall into the train wreck category that I love following on social media the most, and that's local rappers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're the worst.
Because you know why? Because number one, they never do anything. They never do anything of note, but they're always posting like big things coming. Stay tuned, fam. Or they'll go to like a meet and greet with the rapper who's bigger than them, and they'll take a picture at this meet and greet where they paid like $20 for an autograph, and they're like chilling with my boy The Game, chilling with my boy Fitty.
Well, yeah, the one I also see is can't believe so and so's phone number is in my phone now. Like that's not true.
Right.
What you're saying is not true.
Yeah, well, it's the receptionist at their record label. That's whose phone number you have. Or what they do is they'll try to put up something inspirational, like just grinding had some pretty cool opportunities present themselves. Business meetings all week. #blessed. And you go back like 2 weeks later, and they've done nothing. There's a picture of them doing work, which is pretty much the equivalent of my podcast setup, which is one microphone going into a USB port, and you've got some comforters up on the wall to soundproof.
I've seen the one where it's like making things happen, and then I look at their outfit, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not going. Not with that. The neck on that shirt is like severely stretched out. Like you're not making things happen.
And then the next status, hey, who can give me a ride to court? I've got gas money.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
We got to get off. This is terrible. There's someone tuned in right now that has needed a ride to work, and that doesn't make you a bad person.
Right, unless you're a local rapper who needs a ride to work. And look, if you're a struggling local rapper, God bless. Just be honest about it. It's like, oh, man, eating ramen again because nobody wants to buy my EP off of iTunes. I'm like, look, man, I respect the struggle.
Okay. You know what? It's not that needing a ride somewhere is not a problem. That I get.
No,
but
I needed a ride to work a couple weeks ago.
Sure. But not having enough of a support system to where you have to take that public for assistance, that's where the issue arises.
Right. What kind of weirdos do you attract if you solicit for a ride to work on Facebook?
I came back the other day from WrestleMania. It was so I was coming back from WrestleMania and on a plane. Obviously, WrestleMania was in Dallas, and my other buddy, he was flying on a different plane. Did you know there's more than one airline? So as we're flying back, I'm flying Southwest because I like to save my money. And
what if I only have a Groupon for one airline? Then there's only one airline, Fred.
Yeah, then that's the one. And he was flying like Frontier or Delta or something. So we both go to the airport. As I'm literally getting on the plane, I'm walking onto the plane. My phone rings, and he says, "Hey, heads up, I screwed up. My flight's not at 8 a.m. It's at 8 p.m. I'm in Dallas the rest of the day. My girlfriend cannot give you a ride back from the airport." And I go, "Oh, okay, no big deal." That second at 7:30 in the morning or whatever it was, I call a friend of mine and I say, "Hey, I need a ride from the airport." And they say yes, because that's how that works.
Right. By the time, look, if it gets to the point where you have to solicit on social media for a ride home, you know something is terribly, terribly wrong. Unless you had a ride that fell through, but still, I don't know. You're right. Things are going wrong in your life if you have to solicit on social media for a ride.
I just can't imagine. I've Ubered like rides that I didn't want to pay for because I'm not going to go to Twitter and go, "Hey, fam."
Right.
Fam.
Right. Well, and the only time I get an Uber is after a tragedy happens because I figure we're not due for a while. So, like, if somebody gets kidnapped or murdered in an Uber, the next day is the best time to get an Uber because you're not due for another murder for at least another 2 months.
Uber's no, that's only in Detroit. That's only in Michigan where Uber murders people. That doesn't happen like everywhere else. Uber gets murdered.
Look, Uber's Ubers don't murder people. Guns murder people.
Okay, that doesn't make sense.
Let me ask you a question, though, Fred, because I've been dying to ask you this all episode.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm sorry.
How lathered up in Lakers butter were you on Wednesday for Kobe's last game?
Oh my gosh, man. I've talked about it ad nauseum on the Heavy Hitters Heard weekdays here on 590 The Fan. It was very special. It was a special moment. And I said this on the air. At 31 years old, I've come to a point where I'm able to see guys' careers start and see guys' careers end. And I'm not talking guys who play 5 years. I'm not talking guys who flash in the pan. I'm talking heroes. I'm talking Jeter, and I'm talking Kobe, and I'm talking Peyton Manning, and I'm talking guys that I as a fan, as a fanatic, had a real strong connection to. And watching Kobe go out and the records he set and the attention he brought and just the understanding of his greatness, man, I thought it was top shelf. I thought everything about it was just absolutely perfect.
I have to be honest. I think the Kobe goodbye tour has been very annoying, and I'm starting to feel like that's played out because anytime a beloved athlete does anything, Deadspin always has to take the contrarian view. So that was all over my feed this week. But I thought the whole season was annoying because the Lakers stunk, and I feel like Kobe Bryant on his "my knees hurt after every game." There's got to be a ceremony for me in every town tour. Didn't help the Lakers in their race. Well, it helped the Lakers in their race to the bottom, and I feel like he kind of anchored them to the bottom this season, which is forgivable with all the success that he's brought them over the years. But I do have to give it up to him, scoring 60 points in his last game, even though I was sure that every time Utah got the ball, they threw the ball to Kobe. They ran to the other side of the court, and I think the Staples Centers every time Kobe touched the ball, I think they lowered the rim to 7 feet, back to where we could dunk, back when we were in middle school. But hey, that's great. Congrats, Kobe. Hashtag Mamba out.
60 points, highest point total of the year for any player in the NBA. 6 times in his career, Kobe Bryant has gone for 60. I'll tell you what I really like about this, because we're contrarian on this one, Mike. The LA Lakers won 17 games this year, an atrocious 17 games. Comparatively, the Golden State Warriors only lost 9. The Golden State Warriors were the greatest team in the NBA, and we're not even going to talk about them today.
Right. Well, and of course, what was the topic all day? What's going to be the bigger story tonight? Golden State winning 73 or Kobe's last game? And I think before the game, you think, oh, obviously it's going to be Golden State because, Kobe will probably go out there and he'll put up 17 points and, he'll get a nice send off. But then, he goes off for 60 and, the Golden State Warriors, hey, that's great. In fact, it was at the point where if the Golden State Warriors didn't get their 73rd win, I think people would have seen it as a failure just because they've been so hyped this year. But I got to say, one thing is getting lost in all that. This is just how freakishly successful Steve Kerr has been in his first, well, I'll say 1.5 seasons of coaching because he was out for half this year. But all Steve Kerr has done his first 2 years as an NBA coach is win the title and coach and break his own team's record for most wins in a season, probably on his way to a second title.
What he has done, let me backtrack real quick. Just one quick point on the Lakers before I transition. The Lakers, a lot of teams tank a season. A lot of teams reset their team. And the Lakers were able to do it with the Kobe going away tour. They had the highest attendance on the road of any team all year long. They had all their games at home were sold out. They made this year still profitable to their organization and their team by featuring Kobe, but still resetting their franchise. They're going to have at or near $59 million next year in free agency money. They're going to be able to make an immediate impact with a high draft pick. The Lakers are going to be cool. With that said, Steve freaking Kerr, unreal. Steve freaking Kerr, there was for a long time in the NBA this mindset of live by the 3, die by the 3. Well, Steve Kerr was a guy who in his career could shoot 50 from the floor, 45 from the 3, and 90 from the free throw line. Steve Kerr knew that you could make jump shots, and he told his team that, and now his team makes all of the jump shots. They never miss. We watched a whole season where they didn't miss.
Right. And, if there is an undoing for them in the postseason, which nothing we've seen this season has demonstrated this is going to happen. But if by some fluke they get cold against San Antonio, they get cold against Cleveland, and they turn the ball over, that will be their undoing. But like I said a second ago, we haven't seen any evidence of that even being a possibility with this team. I mean, they're stone cold assassins.
It's unreal to me. It's a team of snipers. They're positionless players. They rotate the floor. It's very much do you remember high school? It's very much a motion offense where guys jump around and make it happen, and they make it happen from every aspect of the floor. It's unreal to me how they're playing basketball.
It's the weigh-in, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, caveradiosports.com, weightinradio.com, pendulumpodcast.com. We'll be right back. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to just real quickly ask you what your consensus was on the heavy hitters about this Rams deal, and then we'll transition. You want to transition to the AMC texting thing?
Yeah. I also feel like we forgot to mention this Bill Nye Sarah Palin thing.
Oh. Well, okay.
We'll talk about that too.
Why don't you just want to bump the Ram stuff then, since you already talked about it?
It doesn't matter to me. I can talk about it.
Okay.
We'll do it real quick. I'll do 2 minutes on it. Then we'll do, 5 minutes on AMC and how people at theaters suck. And then we'll do, speaking of suck, Sarah Palin's going to get fucking obliterated.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Got him!
Weightinradio.com.
So, Fred, the other night I saw you posted this, and I didn't get a chance to tune in, but you posted the question, did the Rams give up too much for a guy from North Dakota State University? And I'm just curious what the consensus was on the show about that whole deal with what the Rams are giving up, their first-round pick, their second-round pick, and a bunch of other picks this year and next year for the number 1 draft pick this year in hopes of drafting Carson Wentz out of North Dakota State and now maybe Jared Goff out of Cal.
Yeah, the Rams have this year the very first overall pick, and then they don't draft again for 100 consecutive picks. Los Angeles is trying to make a big splash on the heavy hitters this week. We had Amy Trask on. She is the former GM and operating officer for the Oakland Raiders. And she was saying that she thinks it's a no-brainer they go with Wentz. And she's a Cal grad, so she's a Goff fan. As far as prototype goes and measurables, yeah, Wentz is your guy. Here in St. Louis, the reaction has been...
Are you rooting hard for this to fail?
I am not. The storyline I kind of like is for Cleveland to not grab Goff number 2 and maybe they go with like a Khalil Mack. Goff falls to 7, gets taken by San Francisco, and then we have 10 or 12 years of Wentz versus Goff in the NFC West, and it's a good matchup. It's a lot of fun. Think Brady Manning, that kind of thing. With that said, the temperature of St. Louis on the LA Rams is stagnant, is bitter. A lot of people, just like when the Rams were here, have already moved on. A lot of people were excited when they won and outraged when they left, and now they do not care. But there's a handful of pundits that are up in arms at the Rams, or no, not up in arms. There's a handful of pundits that are doing, I called it, they're still idiots in St. Louis. But then there's another group of people who think this is Steve Fisher. This is Jeff Fisher just refreshing his rebuilding process for another 4 or 5 years in LA.
Well, I think you mentioned Manning Brady. I think that, number one, betting the farm like this, Carson Wentz or Jared Goff, whoever they pick, right now it looks like it's going to be Wentz, has to be Manning, has to be Brady, or else it's going to be a bust. If Carson Wentz is even Phillip Rivers, a Pro Bowl quarterback that doesn't do much in the playoffs, it's still going to be a bust. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid.
It's tough because this is not an Andrew Luck kind of thing. This, to me, a little bit feels more like an RG3 kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're going to make the effort and make the move, you have to know. And maybe there are guys who are smarter than me. There very well could be. But I didn't watch a single North Dakota State game all year. I never even heard this kid's name until the combine, the pro day, and apparently some individual workouts. I'm a seer, not a believer, so you got to show me on the field. If I saw it on the field, maybe. I don't think golf played in the Pac-12. You know, I'm a Pac-12 guy. I went to a Pac-12 school. I don't think the competition was so strong in the Pac-12 that he even jumps out to the head of the pack. I'm more of a Paxton Lynch kind of guy, and he's going to fall to the mid-20s.
Well, and you also wonder, okay, is this the same football talent evaluation brain trust that brought Sam Bradford here and signed Case Keenum on the same day? Now, I mean, granted, getting rid of Nick Foles for Sam Bradford was kind of a wash, but still, it's like, okay, what are they seeing that nobody else is seeing?
I just don't know. You're right. What you're saying is right. There's somebody who's smarter than me, and I can't point out what they see. And I often try. I'll open my mind up and I'll look for this. Maybe they want to sell jerseys. Maybe they want to make a splash. Maybe they want that moment at the draft. And if that's what they want, hopefully they get it. But I don't think they're going to transition to even 8 wins.
I have a shocking confession to make here, Fred.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of courage for me to say this, but I think there's a lot of people out there living in silence who need to come out of the shadows here. I am a movie theater texter.
Oh, no.
And it feels good to let it out. And apparently, Fred, I'm not alone. I'm the first one to come forward and speak up, but there's enough of it happening that AMC theaters are thinking of making, I don't know if it's select theaters or select sections, text friendly, but it's an idea being kicked around and it's a very real possibility.
There was a press release. That broke Twitter. AMC said, hey, it's cool if you text. And then Twitter said, oh, hell no, it isn't. Oh, hell no.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about movie theater texting, Fred. I think that the people who get the attention for texting in movie theaters are the ones who don't do it properly. The proper way to text in a movie theater is to take your phone, put it under your shirt, put your head in your shirt, and read your text that way, so that you can read your text, but you're not disturbing anybody.
The proper way to text in a theater is to get up and leave the theater, which you would think is more disturbing than texting in the theater, but it's not, because I know you're missing the movie, and I feel good about that.
Fred, I'm surprised because you are a man with his hand in many pots.
Sure.
And I have a feeling that your phone being silent, whether it's a text or a phone call, for more than 3 minutes at a time is a very rare occurrence.
I'm going to show my camera right now I'm going to show my phone right now to the camera, so if you're watching on YouTube. In the time we've been doing this episode, I have this many missed notes.
Right. So,
and that happens all the time. And at the end of doing this, I will say to these people, sorry, I was on the air. Sorry, I was in a movie. Sorry, I was at dinner. Sorry, I was watching Captain America beat the crap out of Iron Man. I'll have to get back to you.
So you're going to, because if I showed you my phone right now, I have not received a single text message or phone call throughout this whole show. So you're telling me, Fred, that you, Mr. Woods River, Mr. Play-by-play voice for the ambush, Mr. I've got 2 radio shows in St. Louis, you keep all these people waiting because you want to watch a movie. If you ask me, you're the one being selfish by not texting in the movie theater, not me.
If you I've been to movie theaters in all parts of the country. I've been to movie theaters in all socioeconomic communities. So, for instance, when I go to a movie theater in a higher end part of St. Louis where they have reclining chairs and they bring you dinner, no one in there is even pretending to text. People are invested in that moment, in that interaction. I've gone to movie theaters in the flippin' hood where
$1 shows.
Oh my gosh. And then people are not just texting, they're screaming into their cell phone, they're screaming at their kids, they're screaming at the person next to them, and then the whole show just becomes an episode of people yelling at other people to shut up, and those people yelling at them to shut up. And then there's no movie involved. That's just people watching. That's like going to the zoo or Six Flags.
Well, and that's when the people in the theater become the movie, and to that I would say you're welcome.
Do you go to your local amusement park anymore?
My local what?
Amusement park?
No, because
no, you don't, because you grew up.
Yeah. And also I get motion sickness and I throw up.
What? No, what?
I last time I went to Cedar Point, I threw up on the Raptor, and there's G-forces there. I don't know if folks from St. Louis get up to Ohio and are familiar with Cedar Point, but it's America's rock and roller coaster, and they have this ride called the Raptor where your legs are dangling and you got G-forces, and if you throw up, it's going to come right back to you. And that was the last time I rode a roller coaster.
We have Six Flags here, Six Flags over Mid-America, and you go to Six Flags. You used to go when you were a kid to have fun. You used to go. But now you go to Six Flags to just see like how many people still wear jorts.
You know, Fred, another confession. I wore jorts up until at least 3 summers ago.
I went out yesterday. I had a meeting yesterday. I'm working on a new project. So I had a meeting yesterday. We went to have root beer floats and talk it out because we're 30 years old.
Sure.
And at the
real
meeting,
grown-up business.
Oh, duh. At the meeting yesterday, the guy I had the meeting with is wearing plaid cargo shorts.
Wow.
And I say to him, bro, I haven't worn plaid since 2006, and I haven't worn cargo shorts ever.
Those are his deal sealing shorts.
Get some flat fronts. Figure it out. It was kind of warm. I mean, shorts I think were acceptable. This was cash. Root beer floats is cash.
Right. Well, and it's so cash you don't even finish the word. That's how casual it is. You just say cash because that's how informal and casual it is. But Fred, I am sick. You know it's not cash? Our society's strict rules against wearing jorts and cargo pants, okay? Sometimes you have a lot of keys. Sometimes you have a lot of wallets. And 2 pockets just don't fix it. Have you ever, Fred, okay, taken your wallet out of your pocket or your cell phone out of your pocket and realize that you had vastly more room for the boys? Well, if you put your stuff in the cargo shorts that are on the side, your boys have that room all day. Support that never lets you down.
If you are working on an ambulance, sure, you can have cargo pockets. You need to have cargo. If you are meeting with me to talk about the possibilities of me helping you with your project, then no, you don't need cargo pockets. You don't have to bring an extra battery for your cell phone. Stay off of it. Don't text.
So what you're telling me is that this deal was over before you even sat down because you judged a book by his shorts.
It's not that bad of an idea. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Well, note to self. Mr. I'm above texting in a movie theater here is going to judge you on your shorts no matter how good your product might be.
We did real good today, Mike. I'm real proud of you.
Hey, no, Fred, you did great. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say thank you. I appreciate you. Everything about you is inspiring.
Thank you. You too. You and I mean, Fred, I love you. I'd like you more if I could Google you getting booed on Ricky Lake, though.
We could do no. I'm glad that didn't happen. There's a lot of regrets in my life. That's not one of them.
Yeah. Well, I think things would have turned out very different for both of you. God works in mysterious ways. We'll be back next week.
Good job, everyone. GG.
And we're clear.